That last one recorded properly, right? Yeah, the one that we thought wasn't working.
Yeah, I actually.
No, not working.
Okay, prior to calling the meeting to order, we'll read our Pembroke Land Acknowledgement Statement. As we gather today, I would respectfully acknowledge on the behalf of the council and the community that the city of Pembroke resides on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. It is with this statement that we honor and respect the Algonquins on whose land we reside. We'll call the meeting to order, and can we have approval of the agenda? By Ian, seconded by Rose. All in favor? Carried. Minutes of the meeting of March 25th having been circulated. Can we have a motion to approve these minutes? Moved by Marie-José, seconded by Ian. Any errors or errors to the, yes, can I?
Just a point of clarification, but I see that in the past decision update, I will be speaking about it, so I'll bring it up at that time.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of the minutes? Thank you very much. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Yes, Ian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will declare a pecuniary interest in item 6C, the 331 Boundary Road property, as I've provided legal services to the applicant.
Thank you very much, Ian. Okay, right into new business. B324, A324, and A424, 604 Weston Street. Brittany McClellan. Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicant, Brittany Cleland, has submitted a site plan proposing the severance of her existing lot at 604 Weston Street for the purpose of creating two separate lots for future semi-detached dwellings. The existing property is zoned residential type 2 by the zoning bylaw. The existing R2 zoning permits the use of semi-detached dwelling. Currently, the property is vacant land. The proposed retained lot, which would be known as 604A Weston Street, would have an approximate frontage of 25 feet, an approximate depth of 132 feet, for an approximate area of 3,300 square feet. The R2 zoning would be maintained, but the proposed severance would result in a lot frontage deficiency of 7.81 feet, which is short the required 32.81 feet. Hence the requirement for a minor variance for the retained lot. The proposed severed lot would mirror the retained lot. It would be known as 604B Weston Street. And again, it would have a lot frontage of 25 feet, a depth of approximately 132 feet, and an approximate area of 3,300 square feet. Again, it would maintain the R2 zoning, but the proposed severance would result in a lot frontage deficiency of 7.81 feet. And hence the minor variance application for the severed lot. Aside from the minimum lot frontage requirements that are the subject of the two minor variances, the proposed severance and the proposed semi-detached dwellings meet and or exceed all other applicable requirements of the zoning bylaw, including lot area, front yard setback, rear yard setback, interior side yard setback, lot depth, dwelling unit area requirements. And as such, these applications can be viewed as being in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw. Regarding parking, the zoning bylaw requires 2 spaces per dwelling unit for semi-detached dwellings. Each of the proposed units will have an attached garage accommodating 1 parking space, while each driveway will accommodate an additional parking space. So this requirement of the zoning bylaw is met. The property is designated residential under the city's official plan. These applications are strongly in keeping with this intent of the official plan, being that the city of Pembroke will encourage all forms of residential intensification that creates a potential supply of new housing units. Residential intensification will be encouraged in built-up areas of the city where there is sufficient existing or planned infrastructure to accommodate such development, and that through the intensification of land use in the existing built-up areas involving infill, redevelopment, and the conversion of existing buildings, we will continue to accommodate new residential units. within the existing built-up area. The official plan goes on to state that all residential development shall be adequately serviced with municipal water and sewer services. And in the case of Weston Street, both services are available in the subdivision. Any future development of the property will be subject to a building permit application, the process for which will require municipal servicing to be completed. The property is located approximately 100 meters from Boundary Road, Bennett Street, and Upper Valley Drive. These are all designated as collector roads by Schedule B of the official plan. This provides for strong vehicular transportation links, not only throughout the city itself, but to the Highway 17 corridor. And finally, regarding the provincial policy statement, the future residential development of semi-detached dwellings at 604 Weston Street would contribute to a healthy, livable, and safe community by promoting efficient land use patterns, which will sustain the financial well-being of the city of Pembroke over the long term. And therefore, the planning department is recommending that the committee approve subject to conditions. The conditions being that a minor variance be approved for the retained lot, that a minor variance be approved for the severed lot, and that a registered plan of survey depicting the severed lands be supplied to the Secretary Treasurer of the Planning Advisory and Adjustment Committee. And subject to these conditions, the planning department is recommending that the committee approve the applications for consent to sever and 2 minor variances for 604 Weston Street.
One, were any submissions received regarding the application?
No submissions nor inquiries were received.
Does anyone here represent the application? And if so, do they wish to comment on it?
Brittany Cleland is present to represent her application via Zoom.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi there. I'm just actually looking at going into Pembroke. My brother and I are the ones that are planning on building on the property. We really like Pembroke. We're really excited. So we're just really hoping this gets pushed through.
Thank you. Any member wish to comment on this application? Yes, Ian.
What's the driveway situation?
In which way do you mean? Sorry.
Like, are we expecting them to be together with each other? Like, there's nothing on the plan about where the driveways are, where they're going, or how wide they're going to be, or so the reason I ask is because, believe it or not, maybe Romeo and Gary remember this, but one of the big complaints that I get every winter is people putting snow onto the neighbor's property, or there not being enough snow places to put snow. So all of a sudden, an issue I didn't know existed is now hyper vigilant in my mind every time. So I'm just wondering what we think the plan is, so that I can think about that.
For snow removal. My dad is actually on this as well. So John Tomasoni is on the Zoom call. We still haven't planned much about the driveway, but we are very aware of that. We do live in Toronto, so we are aware about how driveways are supposed to be versus where you can put snow and where not to put snow. I don't know if he wants to comment on that. We still are in the process of our sketching, but we will make sure that the driveways, the way that we do them, allow for us to actually have snow removal placed on our property, not on the roads and not on our neighbors as well.
Mr. Chair, I'll accept that as
you.
something that the applicant has top of mind.
Good, thank you very much. Any further comment? And we have a motion then.
Also move.
Second by Ian. And any further comments? All in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you.
A question after the fact. To
Yes.
The planners. Was that lot intended to be a through street at one time to connect with Weston?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I don't believe it was.
No, okay,
No.
because there's one there, we've had a problem in the past, that there was meant to be a through street connecting to Weston. And I did go up and have a look at it, and I didn't recognize it. If it
No,
was or not.
I don't believe
Obviously,
that's
it's
the
not,
one.
but There's a lot that's been asked.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further comments? Okay, we'll move on to B, Z-5, 2024, 29 Eddy Crescent, Lot 46, LaPointe subdivision.
No, it's
Yes,
me
oh,
this time.
yes.
So the James W. LaPointe Motor Holdings plan of subdivision proposes 45 lots for single detached dwellings. So presently, there's the whole subdivision zoned residential type 2, and the official plan is residential. So the property received draft approval and several occasions, and the subdivision agreement was approved in 2023. So the subject of the official plan and the zoning bylaw amendment today is part of a larger land holding which is owned by the city, which is adjacent to the LaPointe subdivision. And as part of draft plan approval, the conditions indicated that a future lot 46, which is owned by the city, was agreed in principle to be transferred to Mr. LaPointe. So Mr. LaPointe has proceeded with the transfer of lot 46, and it was approved by council in January of 2024. And this sale permits this lot to be used as a building lot following an approved official plan amendment and zoning bylaws amendment, which we're doing here this evening and which will go to the council public meeting in May. So the proposed lot 46, which will be known if approved as 29 Eddy Crescent, has a lot area of just over 6,000 square feet. The remaining city land would have a frontage of 60 feet, which will provide adequate access to the proposed stormwater management ponds and parkland. So the intent of the official plan is to change the present designation of lot 46 from open space to residential. The intent of the residential designation is to develop neighborhoods with a mix of housing types designed to meet a range of housing needs. And in this neighborhood, there is existing and proposed residential development to the north, east, and west of the proposed lot 46. The existing residential area along Boundary Road is made up of single-story bungalows, mainly of single-story bungalows, and the proposed residential use of the subdivision will be for a single detached dwelling. The lands to the south of lot 46, which will remain owned by the city, will continue to be zoned as open space and used as parkland and access to the proposed stormwater management ponds that are going to be required for the subdivision. So the official plan wants to ensure there's an adequate supply of housing, and the plan also encourages infill. So there will be services along the future Eddy Crescent, which will be able to provide services to the proposed subdivision and lot. And this proposed subdivision along with lot 46 will be considered infilling and thus meet the intent of the official plan. So again, as you know, the official plan states new development should be in close proximity to schools and places of worship and shopping. And it's in close proximity to Jean Lajoie and Holy Name schools. It's also near Riverside Park and the West End Mall. So the official plan supports infilling, since in this case, there's the ability of the existing infrastructure to support the new development. There is compatibility on the site design, setbacks, and lot configuration with the existing pattern in this area. And there is the compatibility between building massing and the type of dwelling units in the proposed development and in the surrounding residential uses. Therefore, based on this information, the designation from open space to residential is supported and warranted. So the proposed zoning for lot 46 is open space. Therefore, rezoning to residential type 2 is required. The lot area, lot depth, and lot frontage requirements are met for an R2 zone. So this application meets the provincial policy statement in that it promotes efficient development, ensures development is connected to necessary infrastructure, and ensures new development is taking place adjacent to existing built-up areas. So the planning department is recommending this rezoning and official plan amendment.
Owen, were there any submissions received regarding the application?
No submissions nor inquiries were received.
Okay, thank you. Is there someone here representing the application that wishes to speak?
Catherine Curry of JP2G Consultants is present.
Thank you, Catherine.
Hello, I'm available if there's any questions. Thanks.
Oh, are there any questions? Yes.
Was this piece of property owned by, was it part of the subdivision, or was this a piece retained by the city?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. So this was always owned by the city. Okay, this lot 46. It was, it's combined with a bigger piece, and it was always supposed to be, it was always zoned open space, and it was to be parkland. And so now, as part of the draft plan approval process, this particular little lot, 60 feet by 100 feet, basically, was requested by the developer to be purchased as a lot. So it went into draft conditions. It was approved ultimately by council in January of 2024. So they've just taken that little piece off, but there still remains another 60 feet of frontage so that there can be access by the city to get to the future stormwater management ponds and for public to get to the parks.
Yeah, that was the concern when I first looked at it, because this piece of property has been around since 1998. I mean, I was around at that time. I was hoping to see it come to fulfillment before I become fertilizer. And we're still waiting. Huge steps. It's like the race between the hare and the turtle. We hope I know they're doing some work, because I know there's a paved road and you've got some infrastructure in there. But I was kind of a little concerned that we would keep at least an opening to that back property, the southern part, which borders on the Algonquin Trail, if I believe. And I still think that that could be meaningful green space. And of course, engineering wise, it could become waters. So there's all kinds of uses for it from the point of view of the engineering. So we maintain a little part, and I hope we don't give it up. I say we, the city, give it up to some developer. But if we're going to get a good dollar for this, and I hope we got what's being what do you call that?
We did receive an appraisal.
An appraisal?
Yes,
okay.
we did.
And you tacked on a little bit for the ratepayers? Okay, I guess. Okay, you've answered my question. Thank you.
Any further comments? Yes, Ian.
I move that we accept the recommendation.
Seconder. Thank you. Any further questions? All in favor? Thank you very much. C, Z 624 331 Boundary Road, Matt Bim. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
The applicant, Matt Bim, has submitted an application to amend the zoning of his property at 331 Boundary Road. A site plan has not been submitted, as no specific development has been proposed at this time. The property is currently zoned open space by the zoning bylaw. The property consists of former railway lands that were, until 2020, zoned general industrial M1. In 2020, under the comprehensive review process for the city's new zoning bylaw, all former railway properties throughout the city were zoned open space, as the intent at the time was for these properties to be converted to recreational trails. This intended conversion did not come to fruition for all of the former railway properties in question, including those of 331 Boundary Road. Mr. Bim recently purchased the property and wishes to have it zoned industrially again to entice potential future buyers and or tenants. The proposed general industrial special exception 12 zoning would have the standard provisions of the M1 zone, with the following permitted uses removed: assembly plant, cannabis production facility, lumber mill, lumber yard, manufacturing plant, and transportation terminal, and the following permitted uses added: animal hospital, car wash, convenience store, financial institution, gasoline retail facility, and retail store large format. The above changes in permitted uses reflect the unique location of 331 Boundary Road. The property is bounded to the north and west sides by M1 zones, to the south by economic enterprise zones, and to the east by an institutional zone being PEMICE 2. As such, heavier industrial uses have been removed, while commercial uses have been added. This makes the proposed site-specific zoning highly compatible in the neighborhood, as well as being in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw. The official plan designates the property as mixed use. According to the official plan, mixed-use development shall mean the compatible integration of a variety of commercial and industrial uses within a single land use designation. As such, the proposed site-specific zoning, as it specifically mixes commercial and industrial uses, this application can be viewed as very much being in keeping with this direction of the official plan. Lastly, the provincial policy statement states that planning authorities shall promote economic development and competitiveness by providing for an appropriate mix and range of employment and broader mixed uses, and by providing opportunities for a diversified economic base, including maintaining a range and choice of suitable sites for employment uses, which support a wide range of economic activities and ancillary uses, and to take into account the needs of existing and future businesses. This application is completely in line with this directive of the provincial policy statement, as the mixed-use nature of the proposed site-specific zoning will provide for a diverse mixture of employment opportunities in an employment area. As such, the planning department is recommending the approval of the zoning bylaw amendment application for 331 Boundary Road from an open space OS zone to a general industrial special exception 12 zone. Thank you.
Thank you. Were there any submissions received regarding the application?
No, Mr. Chair, no submissions nor inquiries were received.
Good, thank you. Someone here representing the application? Yes, Matt?
So I'm the applicant myself.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to the application or just?
I mean, it was all very well laid out there. Essentially, open space doesn't allow for a lot of uses, and I'm trying to align the property a little bit more to fit in with the neighborhood and prepare for development, essentially. So I don't have it all figured out as of yet, but I know this opens up a lot more avenues to pursue. So that's the intentions.
Thank you. Questions to Mr. Bibb? Yes.
The question is more for the planning department. First, I would like to say I'm really pleased to see the heavy uses removed from the potential usage for this property. This is in the wider neighborhood. There's been other applications that have raised concerns from citizens in the area. So I'm happy to see that. I agree with the permitted uses added. I'm curious about, could you remind me of the other uses that are permitted for this, under this designation?
Through you, Mr. Chair. I don't have the comprehensive list in front of me right now, but other permitted uses under the general industrial M1 zoning would include a building contractor's shop, a custom workshop, so generally smaller industrial activities.
Okay, thank you. That's really what I wanted to know.
Any further questions? Yes.
Just a comment. I think it's a natural fit. I would have some concerns if we got into some heavy industrial, but it doesn't seem that property will lend itself to that. And I appreciate the owner's comments that they have to widen their use, and that makes sense. There's no problem with this. And matter of fact, I'm prepared to move the motion to accept the planner's recommendation.
Do we have a seconder? Thank you. Any further comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Bibb. Thank you, Ian. Past decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So 3 applications were heard at the Planning Advisory and Adjustment Committee's last meeting. The first one was a minor variance application for 1036 Pembroke Street East. This was approved. It has successfully passed its 20-day appeal period and is now considered final. 2 zoning bylaw amendment applications were heard. The first for 659 McKay Street. The second was housekeeping amendments put forward by the City of Pembroke. These were passed as bylaws on April 16th. They are currently within their 20-day appeal periods, the final day of appeal being May 7th for each.
Thank you, Ian. Anything else? If not, our next meeting will be Monday, May the 27th, 24, if we have up. I'm sorry.
Get to that housekeeping item.
Oh, housekeeping. Okay, housekeeping.
I wasn't here, so that's why I'm just asking a couple of questions, and
Yeah.
I've read through the minutes. And a couple of the comments are in question, short-term rentals. I'm glad we're going to keep an eye on that. I think it's a good solution to some of the housing problems that we have. But I think it's good for the planning department to keep an eye on that. There have been problems associated with that in other areas, not only of the province and the country, but in particular, one I'm thinking of, the state of Florida, but that doesn't mean anything for us. But there's major problems in a couple of communities there on short-term rentals. So I'm glad that you're going to keep an eye on that. The other one that I wanted to kind of give it a little bit of an update is the fencing. The committee agreed to change the wording that an unpierced hedgerow or other unpierced planting shall be deemed to be a fence, and the maximum height stated in provisions 4 and 5. What are those provisions? I mean, are we going to hold them to the same height as a boarded fence? Because that's going to create a problem.
Through you, Mr. Chair, for residential fences, it's the maximum height is 7 feet.
How much?
7 feet.
7.
But maximum. Maximum, so it can be lower than that.
There are areas of this community where you've got hedgerows, cedars, and so on that are higher than that.
20
I don't know,
20 feet.
I know that.
Through
I'm not on council, but I'm concerned about Councillor Keel having to deal with this. I mean, I'm not comfortable with that provision. It's a little late for me to say anything because I wasn't here, but I'm just warning you, you're going to get some complaints on that.
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are legal non-conforming provisions within the zoning bylaw that may cover many of the areas you're referring to in older neighborhoods of town.
Okay, well, that's good. And
Okay.
just let it be known in the minutes that Romeo pontificated.
Better than being
Okay.
An improved position.
Okay, call for adjournment. Ian? We adjourn. Thank you very much.
Very good. May 27th.
Yeah.
So we're off the record now?
Yes.
Just a minute.
Oh, oh,
We're off the record, but on the video.
oh.
Doesn't matter.